Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown review. And tonight's Smackdown was from the Intrust Bank Arena in Wichita, Kansas. And of course, tonight was Smackdown's go-home show for the Royal Rumble, which is this Sunday. And I gotta say, tonight's Smackdown, it was a decent show, in my opinion. It was way better than Raw last night, which Raw was a piece of shit show. Piece of shit go-home show for the Royal Rumble. But SmackDown did a decent job tonight. Actually, in my opinion, it was also as a go-home show. You know, SmackDown did a decent job with their go-home show for the Rumble. So let's get started with the review. So the show opened up with Becky Lynch coming out. Becky Lynch ended up starring SmackDown tonight. She ended up coming out. She ended up getting on the mic, and she ended up saying that there is nothing she likes better is fighting in the ring. Becky says it wasn't too long ago where no one was paying attention to her. And she says what the man should be doing is main eventing WrestleMania and slapping the heads off of people that get in her way. Really liked how the way she was cut. Really liked how the way she was cutting this promo, Becky. This was a decent, good promo from Becky tonight. And Becky ends up saying the journey starts in 5 days at the Royal Rumble. And she goes on to say that she has watched Asuka clean house in NXT and calls pretty much Asuka the best in the world. But she ends up saying that she herself is better than Asuka. And she says Asuka never beat her for the title. And that the others are warming themselves on the fire that she lit. And she ends up saying that all changes Sunday when she takes her title back, when she dethrones, she goes on to say that she dethroned the Queen and she's going to destroy the Empress. And Asuka ends up coming out. She ends up getting in the ring, and she ends up shouting at Becky in Japanese, which I really like when Asuka gets that pissed off and shouts in Japanese. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Asuka was screaming at Becky in Japanese when she came out. And that brings out Charlotte. So Charlotte comes out, and she ends up saying to Becky and Asuka that nothing is going to be more exciting when she tosses 29 women over the top rope and win the Women's Royal Rumble. And she ends up mentioning Sasha and Ronda, and also Becky and Asuka. And she ends up saying that she beat Sasha Banks so many times she lost count. And she says about Ronda, Charlotte said about Ronda, she ended up beating the hell out of her with the kendo stick. And so she goes to say to Asuka that last year at WrestleMania, she broke Asuka's undefeated streak. And she says to Becky that Charlotte has owned the division the last 4 years. And she is the main event. And then we had Asuka come from behind. She ended up attacking Becky. A brawl ensued between Asuka and Becky, which the officials had to come down and break the both of them up. And we saw Becky end up tossing Asuka over the announce table. And Becky ends up whipping Asuka with her leather jacket that she was wearing. And that was pretty much basically how the segment ended. The brawl was still going between Becky and Asuka. But it was a decent opening to SmackDown. Really liked it. Really liked the promo that Becky cut tonight. The crowd, of course, was behind her, chanting her name. So, but decent, good promo to open SmackDown tonight. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, it was shown that Becky and Asuka were still brawling backstage, and the officials had to come and break them up still. So we saw that. And then we got on to the first match of the night, and it was Mandy Rose versus Naomi. And this was announced over the weekend. And as we all know, Mandy Rose has been making Naomi's life a living hell. With Mandy Rose trying to get with Naomi's husband, Jim Uso. We saw last week where Mandy ended up sending a gift to Jimmy, which was a note and a rose and the key, and she ended up sending Jimmy her hotel room key, and he went in there, and we all know that from last week. And we had the match, Mandy Rose versus Naomi. Before the match, there was like little recap. It was cheesy by this woman describing what happened, what has been happening over the past weeks between both Naomi and Mandy Rose. It was such a cheesy woman, announcing what was going on for those past weeks, in my opinion. But the match itself, it was short. Mostly the match was taking place, when it was commercial, when SmackDown went to commercial, and then it came back, and maybe it was like 15 minutes worth of the match. And towards the end of the match, Mandy Rose ended up, distracting the referee, which led to Sonya Deville, because Sonya Deville was out there. So Sonya Deville was grabbing on Naomi's leg. Naomi ended up kicking her, and that led to Mandy Rose ends up, jamming Naomi into the ring post. And Mandy Rose ended up getting Naomi back in the ring, went for the pin count, and Mandy Rose wins the match. So, but all in all, to me, it was a short match. Wasn't that bad of a match, in my opinion. So, then we had Rey Mysterio. After that match, we had Rey Mysterio kind of promo, talking about his 2006 Royal Rumble victory, which was great. And the only reason why he won that Rumble match was to pay tribute to Eddie Guerrero. Because from what I heard, if Eddie didn't pass away, he was supposed to win the Royal Rumble match for that year, but eventually, he ended up passing away. And I think it was good that WWE let Rey Mysterio win that Royal Rumble match in 2006. And Rey Mysterio, him and Eddie had a good friendship on screen, and there was many, their feud that they had in 2005, that was really awesome. Yeah, I know we had that match at SummerSlam 2005 where we had that ladder match for the custody for Rey Mysterio's son Dominic. But yeah, we had that match happen at SummerSlam that year. But it was a pretty good promo that Rey Mysterio cut, talking about a little bit about that victory, that Royal Rumble victory in 2006. And he ends up saying the attributes that allow him to do it before, pledging that he'll do it again. He'll possibly do it again. And he says first he's going to beat Andrade on an even playing field tonight. So that was the other promo that Rey Mysterio cut. And That was the main event of the night, which was Rey Mysterio versus Andrade again in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Then after the Rey Mysterio promo, we had Cesaro versus The Miz, which was a okay match. Wasn't a great match by any means. Sorry about that, but I was saying Cesaro versus The Miz. It was an okay match. Wasn't a great match by any means, though. But this was a match just to prepare for the tag team championship match against The Bar and The Miz and Shane McMahon this Sunday at the Royal Rumble for the tag team championships. And we had Shane McMahon down there at ringside, also Sheamus. But there are times, where Shane was trying to trying to interfere and help out and hopefully make the Miz win the match. Where Shane ended up taking down Sheamus, but the end of the match, it led to a distraction, and Cesaro ended up winning, ended up hitting the neutralizer to The Miz. So Cesaro ends up winning the match. And after the match, Shane McMahon ends up taking out Sheamus. Cesaro, he ends up he ends up taking out Sheamus and Cesaro, both of them, and he hits Cesaro into the post, into the ring post, and Shane ended up putting Cesaro on the announce table, and it looked like Shane was going to the top to hit the flying elbow that he does when the opponent is on the announce table, but Sheamus ends up shoving Shane off the top. Shane went face first into the barricade, and Sheamus ends up ramming The Miz into the ring post. And on the outside, Cesaro was holding up Shane, which led to Sheamus to end up hitting a bro kick to Shane, and it looked like the kick actually hit Shane in the cheek, as maybe the 3 times that they replayed it. And it actually looked like Sheamus, the bro kick, actually ended up hitting Shane in the cheek. And Cesaro and Sheamus, they end up lifting Shane. They end up picking him up, and they end up both of them ended up putting Shane on top of The Miz, slamming them both into the announce table. Announce table ends up breaking. So that was what happened. And both The Miz and Shane were laid out. Officials had to come down to check on them, and Vince was watching from the TV backstage, and he had to be concerned about what happened, because that's his son. So, but yeah, Cesaro versus The Miz, decent. I mean, it was okay match, but wasn't a great match by any means. Then we had the face-to-face with AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. Vince ended up coming out saying that these two are going to be going face-to-face. So he ends up introducing AJ Styles, ends up introducing Daniel Bryan. AJ Styles is in the ring, but Daniel Bryan doesn't want to come in the ring. And so Daniel Bryan gets on the mic and says that he is refusing to step in the ring with a sociopath, aka AJ Styles, to him. And he ends up talking about the man who slammed him into a bunch of processed animal carcasses in the concourse, and that he's too embarrassed to step in the ring, that Daniel Bryan is too embarrassed to step in the ring, after Styles pandered to the people. He ends up saying that he had a vision of the future with AJ Styles as the WWE Champion. And he says the future with AJ Styles as champion will be an ignorant, impotent, illiterate future. And he says he won't allow that to happen. He ends up saying AJ uses his power to get fame and money. And Daniel says he uses his power for the greater good. And so Styles asks, if the greater good is Daniel Bryan talking like a jackass. And that actually got cheers from the crowd. The crowd really liked that. And Daniel Bryan explains that the people want Styles to be the champion is because he makes them laugh and cheer and jump out of their seats. And he says he never once makes them think or feel guilty or feel bad about themselves. And Daniel Bryan doesn't care about the people's feelings because he's not the people's champion, but rather the planet's champion, as Daniel Bryan says. So Daniel Bryan says the planet doesn't need AJ Styles, but it does need him using his platform to be its voice. And AJ Styles says to Daniel, if the planet had a voice, it'd be screaming at Daniel Bryan to shut up. And he doesn't remember him pedaling his bicycle to the arena. Or, he took a plane, and there's a word for that. It's fickle. But, it was funny how Styles, said that to Daniel Bryan. So Daniel Bryan says he's embarrassed, but that's not it. Sorry about that. I got my notes all wrong. But AJ Styles says that Daniel Bryan, is embarrassed. He says he's embarrassed, but that's not it. It's fear. So he's pretty much saying that Daniel Bryan has fear to come into the ring and get face to face with Styles. And then we had AJ says, he stood across from many opponents and he's seen that look of fear on their faces. And he possessed, that Daniel Bryan is afraid of what will happen at the Royal Rumble. And he should be. And he ends up saying he's corrupted his morals for that one thing, the WWE Championship. And he's like, what happens when he takes it away? What will he have left? Nothing. And so Daniel Bryan ends up trying to say something, but then gets interrupted by Vince McMahon, because Vince ends up telling Daniel Bryan, he orders Daniel Bryan to get in the ring. Sorry about that, but I was saying Vince then ordered Daniel Bryan to get in the ring. And then Daniel Bryan ends up doing a pipe bomb on Vince. So Daniel Bryan says, Vince doesn't want to hear it because he and the entire baby boomer generation are the great parasites of this world. And he's like, these people don't realize he and his generation take and give nothing back. There you go. Pipe bomb on Vince McMahon from Daniel Bryan. And he's like, his generation, he doesn't realize, people don't realize he and his generation take and give nothing back, put in profit over the planet's needs, and they bow to him for it. And he goes on to say that it's like a magic trick where they conceal all the depth they create and leave the people happy, trading social media stuff while they hoard the wealth and power, and distract the people ignore it. So Daniel Bryan ends up saying all that. And Daniel Bryan says he created an environment for Styles to become a hero, where his brand of ignorance. And McMahon's like, oh, I don't give a damn. Get in the ring. But Daniel Bryan doesn't budge, doesn't come into the ring. And Styles was like, "Oh, Vince, I thought this was supposed to be a face-to-face." And he was like, "Well, I'm in the ring, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in the ring." And so AJ Styles heads out of the ring and he attacks Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan tries to run away, but Styles gets to him, and we get a brawl between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan on the outside. And Styles end up tossing Daniel Bryan into the barricade, end up tossing him over the announce desk and steel steps, and they went back inside in the ring. Daniel Bryan tries to dodge from Styles, hiding behind Vince, and because Styles was going for the phenomenal forearm, and then we saw Daniel Bryan then hit the flying knee to AJ Styles, and that's pretty much how the segment ended. So, but with Daniel Bryan, sort of doing that pipe bomb to Vince, that was pretty good. I mean, it was a good promo that Daniel Bryan cut tonight. Really liking this new Daniel Bryan. Hope WWE keeps the momentum up with Daniel Bryan's character so far, because I'm really liking it. So after the segment, we saw Carmella and R-Truth backstage, and Truth says he's going to win the Rumble and challenge for the WWE Championship. And Carmella's like, "Oh, why don't you challenge for the Universal Championship?" And so Truth was like, he doesn't want Brock Lesnar to take him to Sioux Falls City. It was funny when he said that, though. It's supposed to be, of course, Suplex City. And Truth says he'd rather challenge for Buddy Murphy's Cruiserweight Championship. And Carmella's like, there's a weight limit for the Cruiserweights. And so R-Truth, goes off at that. He's like offended by what Carmella said about that. And so Carmella ends up running into Charlotte, and she ends up taking offense to her, to Charlotte's talk about winning the Women's Rumble earlier, because, Charlotte didn't compete in the Women's Rumble last year. And, she said, saying that, Carmella says, "Oh, she's the gatekeeper at 30. Just, because she ended up winning the Mixed Match Challenge with R-Truth." And so Charlotte says she's confident she's going to win. Well, pretty much, basically, maybe they'll let Charlotte win. Who knows? It's WWE. They love giving Charlotte opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. So, and then after that we had Samoa Joe versus Mustafa Ali, which was a good match in my opinion. I thought this match was very entertaining between the both of them. This match was supposed to happen last week, but as we all know, Samoa Joe ended up attacking Mustafa Ali and end up taking him down, end up ramming Mustafa into the ring posts last week. But it was very entertaining from both of them. Mustafa Ali continues to entertain. And at the end of the match, Joe ended up winning with the Coquina Clutch to Mustafa Ali. And Mustafa Ali ended up tapping out. So, but all in all, it was a good match. Really enjoyed the match between the both of them. So, then we had the New Day was backstage. They were watching the Royal Rumble match. When Kofi did his handstand at the Rumble, and who knows what Kofi's gonna do this Sunday in the Rumble match. what balance does he have up his sleeves for Sunday? Because we all know the Rumble with Kofi. So Caleb Braxton interviews them, saying if they are going to throw one of them over the top rope at the Rumble. And Kofi says that if one of them wins the Rumble, all three of them win the Rumble. And it was pretty funny. We had a former ring announcer, Tony Chimmel, there, which it was cool to see him just for that little second. To me, Tony Chimmel was one of the best ring announcers on SmackDown back in like the 2003, 2004, 2005-ish when he was there. We all know his ring announce work for when he introduced Edge, where he used to go the Rated R Superstar Edge. Yeah, that's what I really liked about Tony Chimmel, when he used to always introduce Edge. So yeah, so it was a pretty decent backstage interview with the New Day. Then we had the main event, Rey Mysterio versus Andrade, or Andrade Cien Almas, in a 2 out of 3 falls match. And this was a very entertaining match. Both of these guys going at it once again after the awesome match that they had last week. Just these two are talented in the ring together. I would want to see them have another match, Mysterio and Andrade. Just this was very entertaining. This was the best match of the night, in my opinion. We had Andrade ended up scoring the first fall on Mysterio. Andrade and Mysterio were at the top, and you just saw Andrade hit a sit-down powerbomb from the top, and then that gave Andrade the first fall, the first point in the match, which that was really amazing how he ended up hitting that sit-down powerbomb to Mysterio. And we did see that destroyer move from Mysterio once again. And that's how he scored the second fall of the match. Ended up hitting the destroyer on Andrade. And the end of the match ended in a no contest because Samoa Joe ended up coming in. And he ended up attacking both Mysterio and Andrade. And we saw Joe locked in the coquina clutch on Mysterio. And pretty much this is basically what Joe was talking about. He's making a statement that he will do that what we saw tonight, he will do to the 29 other superstars in the Royal Rumble match. And so that was what Joe said, because after he attacked Mysterio and Andrade, and after he locked Mysterio in the coquina clutch, he ended up getting on the mic. And he said that, he told us that he came to make a statement, and that what we saw tonight is exactly what he will do to the 29 other superstars in the Royal Rumble, because his name is Samoa Joe. And then from out of nowhere, Randy Orton returns, and he comes with an RKO out of nowhere on Samoa Joe. And that pretty much ended SmackDown tonight. But that was crazy how Orton came out of nowhere and hit the RKO on Joe. Since Orton hasn't been shown on TV in like a month or so. But so that was what happened. Overall, Rey Mysterio versus Andrade, it was the best match of the night up until the end, when Joe ended up coming in, and you know, taking out Mysterio and Andrade. But I would like to see another match between Mysterio and Andrade. Just both of them. Very entertaining. And the crowd really enjoyed it. They popped. They were popping in the match, shouting, "This is awesome." So, yeah, so anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of SmackDown. Like I said, thought it was a decent SmackDown. Thought they did a decent job with their go-home show for the Royal Rumble, which was way better than what Raw did last night. Raw was just a piece of shit. If you haven't checked out my Raw review, go check it out. So, yeah, so anyways, that's it for the review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review, and definitely give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until next video, I'll see you all later. Bye.